Do you speak crowdlending? Welcome to our podcast covering the crowdlending industry. Our mission is to provide you with all the insights from this market and help you make informed decisions. I'm Gassan, co-founder and CEO of Acredius. We are a crowdlending platform based in Zurich, Switzerland. I'm delighted to host this podcast and hopefully bring value to all our listeners. I'm glad to have Myriam with us today, Myriam Reinle, former CEO of Lendico. Welcome, Myriam.
Thank you very much for having me here.
So, Myriam, I cannot present you better than yourself presenting yourself, so please.
I'm initially French. I came to Switzerland more than 20 years ago. Why Switzerland? Because I noticed that it was much more well paid than France as a student. So I started a job with UBS in the communication. And after 5 years of this corporate environment, which was actually really good for learning, I decided to do a clear cut and started in the digital area. And with my startup past with Homegate, I was the very early stage with Homegate. I think I was a second employee, and I stayed for 10 years, growing up the marketing and the sales for private customers, and then a short stay with jobs.ch 1.5 years, and then after all these years I asked my boss if I could have like a CEO position, because I thought I'm fit for this now. And he gave me this great opportunity with Car for You, which was a second-hand car platform by then, and I did this for 5 years. So I switched from real estate to job to car industry, and finally ended up with the finance industry.
Interesting. And then what led you to be part of a crowdlending industry? What made you go from car, real estate to crowdlending, SME crowdlending?
As a non-banker without any finance experience, it was probably a little bit naive. No, I have always been in the digital industry, and I was taking care of mortgages with Homegate, of leasing in the car industry, or credit loans for cars. So I always have been involved in financing. So when I saw this ad, which was actually really an ad on jobs, so why not finance? There's a lot going on in fintech. Maybe it's going to be the next stage for me. And I must say the setup at the beginning of Lendico was really a great one, because it was PostFinance on one side as a joint venture with Lendico Group. Lendico Group was an initiative of Rocket Internet. And they've been on the market since 3 years. So for me, it looks like a great setup. And we started in Switzerland with 3 people, head of sales, credit analyst, and me. And we had a shared services model with Berlin, with the group. The group was taking care of the wood technology and product development and finance and some central services. And we were developing the market and doing the credit analysis. So it turned out that we had as well to acquire the investors, which wasn't planned at the beginning. So you can imagine, as asset managers or not having this experience, none of us 3, it was quite a difficult journey to acquire these investors. But we finally managed, but way later, to go into a partnership with Jambra and some other institutionals. So
and was PostFinance of a great help regarding that, or?
We were PostFinance. We kind of worked opportunistically with them. Now, that didn't really help into growing the business, but the aim with PostFinance was of course, there were equity partners, but we wanted as well to work with them on the level of the distribution.
Okay.
We noticed that that the focus was not on Switzerland on an operational basis in our shared services model, and there were some issues, and so we decided to split from Lendico Group together. This decision has been taken together with the group and PostFinance, and we all thought it would be much better for us to be independent in Switzerland. But this meant on the other side that we had to build up a new company, and this is what we did mainly last year, or by the end of 2017. During 7-8 months, we built up the new technology with banking as a service technology, and ramped up the team from 3 to 10 people.
Wow.
And finally relaunched Lendico by the end of July last year. Okay. So we were really active in this last months, and then of course we didn't encounter the objectives we were meant to. And we always, and this is not a secret, we always stated that we are looking for new equity investors, and to strengthen us on the one side, and have some strategic partners. And that's how then we had this solution with PostFinance and Lend, and Lend did the acquisition of Lendico by the end of May this year.
Interesting. Thanks a lot for sharing this journey. I mean, for you it has been a challenging journey, I assume. But if we go back to the crowdlending industry, so Lendico was doing the SME crowdlending. So your clients
solely
from the borrower side were only SMEs. Why SME? Is it like a choice because you partnered first with Lendico? I don't know, but what makes this vertical better, or something to start with as compared to consumer or real estate crowdlending?
I think initially it's really because it was the strategy of PostFinance and Lendico Group to focus on SME lending. It's as well looking from economic side, most interesting segment of people. That was the experience as well was Lendico Group, who started actually with private loans, and they stopped it after 1-2 years.
Okay, so they really wanted only to focus on the SME.
The SME, which was much more attractive from an economical point of view.
Okay. So you decided to go only SMEs. I assume there were no plans to go consumer or real estate. So
we didn't exclude it,
okay,
but that was certainly not the focus in the first years.
Clear, that's clear. But what are the main advantages of this asset class, if you can call it asset class?
So the main advantage is that from an investor side, and we accepted private investors and institutional investors, especially for private investors that have access to an asset class which was only meant to be for institutionals in the past years. So this is quite new, and to invest in Swiss real economy is an attractive thing to do. You know in what you invest. You can look up the company. If it's declared, you can look into the numbers. So it's an attractive investment to do, and there is actually a very low correlation to the actual capital market. And we always advise as well to diversify the portfolio for the investment, as to have a large range of investing and risk.
Yes, so that's mainly the advice we also give to all of our investors in terms of diversification. There is no one best project. It's better to diversify and have a clearly mixed portfolio. Great. So If I may ask, what do you think should be the next big thing for this industry? So what should we all focus on?
I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't think it's a big next thing. I see several things which should be done or looked into. This is mainly the tendency of the institutionalization.
Okay.
More and more institutional funding, and Lendico was clearly on this path. So this is something. So it has to be, the product has to be set up for this
more than
to scale it and to be able to finance much more rapidly. Another thing from my point of view is automation, machine learning. As for Lendico, we had a few projects in this sense. It's a very complicated business because every SME is different, so it's a lot of resource actually you put into the credit assessment, and this has to be automated as much as possible in order to be able to do more volume, because it's a volume business. So I think this is one point that the other companies should concentrate on, automation and machine learning, and as well thinking about what's happening after. It's mostly a loan is a one shot. So another point is, what are you doing after the first loan? Many SMEs are doing first loan, and what are you doing afterwards for the retention, to have them coming back? This would be less cost of course, if you can have this retention effect. And I think the most important thing is education. We noticed that the topic is still very unknown towards as well borrowers and investors, and there is a lot of communication to do in that way. So I think all the competitors should do an effort in this sense, and this costs money, of course.
Yeah, of course. We know that very well. Good. Thank you, Myriam. But we always ask this question because for our listeners, we have a couple of also private investors that are just interested in investing in this asset class. And from your perspective, now you've been CEO of an SME Crowdlending platform in Switzerland for a couple of years. What would be your advice to them?
I think new ones should try to compare platforms. Most of the platforms they have the same offer. It looks like the same offering, but there's some points you should look into. Is, for example, the products. Is the product secured or unsecured? For example, Lendico as one of the only one did mainly unsecured loans.
So without collateral.
Without collateral. Yes. And then another difference is how is it an auction or a fixed investment? There's difference as well. Then the amount as well from an investor side is the starting amount. Is it 1,000? Is it 3,000, 5,000? So you should look into this. And should look very, very well into the information displayed and what kind of contracts, what kind of agreement do you have? This agreement, is it really peer-to-peer, or is it is a contract with a platform in between? So this is the main points, and of course the fees, which sometimes can be different. That is the main points you should look into when it comes to choosing a platform. And then we already touched it, should diversify your portfolio when you begin to invest in several SMEs.
Interesting. Thank you, Myriam. So I would say my almost last question to you is we are interested in knowing what's next then for Myriam.
So now I'm giving over the company, and I'm basically looking for a new job. So if anybody is interested, so I decided to do a short course in blockchain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I want to look more into the opportunities, business opportunities of blockchain, and parallel looking for a new job for sure in digital company.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
not early stage. Maybe I would be more interested in growing a business, focusing on the SME. So let's see.
Myriam, how do you think we can raise the awareness about our industry?
I think next to the common PR and all the means already in place,
mm-hmm.
One good thing we experienced with Lendico is corporations. For example, if you try to work with fiduciaries and explain them the advantages of the new type of alternative financing, it helps to communicate, to understand the topic, or to cooperate with other platforms as well, and they really can help throwing the word around,
mm-hmm.
and developing the topic.
Excellent. So Myriam, as a last question, which is the question that is a bit out of the box, what is your favorite fruit and why?
Am I classified then?
Yes.
If I say banana,
we will have a rating then.
Okay. I'm actually not really much into fruits. I prefer chocolate. and I really like M&Ms. Actually, it's ugly, but it's a nice combination.
It's colorful,
and it's colorful.
Diversified. It's perfect. I mean,
exactly.
That's a perfect advice for our investors.
So
M&Ms. It's colorful and diversified.
Exactly.
But I'm sorry, I'll be insisting. It's not a fruit. You need to choose
I need to choose a fruit. So let's say mango.
Mango. Excellent.
But I still prefer chocolate.
But why mango?
Mango because it's compact and tasteful. It's always a surprise. It's big and small, and it's exotic. And you can eat it all year long, even if it's exotic.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Myriam, for joining us. It was a real pleasure. And thanks to everyone hearing us, and goodbye.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks again for staying with us until the end. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media so you'll never miss an episode. Please don't hesitate to send us your questions and comments at acredius.ch. Thank you.